Hello there and welcome to another Minecraft Bedrock and Java tutorial. My name is Ra and today I'm showing you how to build an item bubble elevator. The bubble elevators are very easy to make and they take a few basic materials to do so. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions or questions after watching this video, and also please leave a like to spread this video around. And with that said, let's get started with the tutorial. We use bubble elevators to transport items upwards to things like storage as shown here. There are basically two kinds of item bubble elevators. One that shoots items into the elevator and one that lets items glide into the elevator. We are going to cover both versions in this tutorial, but we are starting with how the bubble elevator works. Here we have a normal water elevator, which is just a square tube with water in it. If we shoot an item into it, it will float fairly slowly to the top. Here we have a bubble elevator, which is a square tube with water in it and soul sand block at the bottom. Now if we shoot an item into this one, the item will skyrocket to the top. The difference between these two water elevators is the soul sand block at the bottom. The soul sand will create bubbles if there is a full water source block on top of it. We can use that mechanic to stack water source block on top of each other to make item elevators that can go as high as you want. As said at the start, there are two kinds of item bubble elevators. The first is a simple one. We have a water stream here at the bottom that carries items across towards the bubble elevator. With a gate, sign or button here, we hold the water from the elevator back, leaving us an open gap. With the packed ice block we have here, the items from the water stream will glide over the ice into the elevator and be taken up. The second one is done with redstone. For this one we have a dropper at the bottom that shoots out items if there are any in there. These hoppers transport the items from this chest to the dropper. The redstone circuit behind the dropper detects the items in the dropper and start firing off to shoot them out. All the items that are shot into the bubble elevator will be taken up by the bubbles immediately. And for both versions you can also tie in extra entry points like we've done here. It is again the same principle as before. The water of the elevator is blocked from going out by the gate or the dropper. And that way you can create pretty complicated item transport systems. So let's start with how we build the bubble elevator itself. We are starting with the basics on how to build the elevator and we are leaving the item entry alone for now. What we need for this is one soul sand block, a bunch of kelp or regular ice blocks and some blocks to make the tube. We are starting with the placing of the soul sand block and the making of the tube. For the tube you can use any kind of block you want, but making it from glass will let you see the items flow up. We now need to put the water in the tube and from bottom to top this needs to be water source blocks. So no flowing water whatsoever, as that will not create any bubbles and makes the items get stuck. The first method you can use is regular ice blocks. Ice blocks can be used to create water when they are broken and another block is underneath it. So if we stack the tube with ice blocks and break them from top to bottom, they will leave water source blocks and we have a full tube. The bubble elevator tube is now complete. The second method is to use kelp. We need to replace the soul sand temporarily with a dirt block in order for the kelp to be able to grow. If we empty out a bucket of water at the top of the tube, we see the water flowing down. As we cannot use flowing water for bubble elevators, we need to make these all water source blocks. When kelp hits a flowing water block, it will turn this into a water source block. So if we plant the kelp at the bottom and either bone meal it or place it by hand, we create a tube of water source blocks. If you are done, you can replace the dirt with the soul sand and the bubble elevator is done. So we are starting with the simplest one, the one without the redstone. We need to connect this water stream to the bubble elevator for the items to go up, so the items can go to the storage. If we briefly turn on the farm, we get some items in the water stream. The water stream stops here and the items that flow in it will stop here as well. So we need to remove this block and let the items into the bubble elevator. We however have two problems if we just remove this block. One of the problems is the water that flows out from the bubble elevator. We can fix that real quick by placing a gate, sign or button in its place. The water doesn't flow out anymore, but we now have the second problem with this block here. If we turn the farm back on, you can see that the items do not flow over this block, but they get stuck on the block or in the corner. We can fix this by replacing this block with a packed ice or a blue ice block. Here I am using packed ice. If we turn the farm back on, we can see that the items now will glide over the ice and into the bubble elevator. And that is the simple one done. The slightly harder one is done with redstone. We again want to transport the items from this farm to the storage up top. We need to place a dropper at the bottom of the bubble elevator. Remove the glass at the back and the front, so we can place the dropper facing the bubble elevator. Place a solid block on the ground and place the dropper on top of that. And now you can close the tube again. The dropper on its own does nothing of course, so for it to work we need an input and a redstone circuit. We need a hopper to transport items into the dropper, but we also need the space at the back for the redstone circuit. So we are going to put the hopper on top of the dropper here. Hoppers are considered a full block, so the water stays in the tube and doesn't flow out past the hopper. We can now connect the hopper line to the dropper with some more hoppers here. If we turn on the farm, we can see the items flow into the dropper. With the input sorted, we need to make sure that the dropper shoots the items out into the bubble elevator. We start with a comparator here, which checks if there are items inside the dropper. If these two light up, something is in the dropper, and when they are off, the dropper is empty. When there are items in the dropper, the comparator gives a signal that we can use to power the dropper to empty it out. We take this signal into a solid block and into a redstone dust. The redstone dust is now glowing slightly, so it has the signal. When we place two solid blocks here, we can take the signal two ways. First we are gonna take the signal back via this repeater and redstone dust to the comparator. You can see that we've now created a redstone clock which just goes on and off as long as the dropper has items in it. We now want the dropper to shoot out the items, so we need to take the signal to the dropper. We split the signal back here into two ways, and the second signal we want to take to the dropper. If we place a redstone dust and then a repeater, we are one block away from the dropper. When we place a solid block here, we take the signal into there and that fires the dropper. With this system you need to take care that items don't go too fast into the storage up top, depending on what storage system you use. If items are getting stuck on top or are backing up, you need to slow the redstone clock down. This is done by setting both repeaters to more ticks. You can set them from the default 1 tick to 4 ticks. And as you can see, with 4 ticks the system is pretty slowed down. On the community realm we use this same system with an automatic sorter attached, and there we have the redstone clock on 3 ticks. If we do it faster, the sorter won't sort the items at all due to things like lag. So make sure that you tune the redstone clock to your own situation. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions or questions, then leave a comment below, and also please leave a like to spread this video around. Don't forget about our new Discord community server. The link to the server is in the description. Have a great day, stay safe, and see you next time. Bye bye.